announcements and take some questions related to what is due this coming Friday, and I think end of today for the 4-4s task. Some of you already got started, and that's great. The focus of today's lessons is writing our first Java programs and getting you started on the 4-4s assignment. If you haven't done so already, you should sign up for ACS Awesome account, as some of your classwork, especially for the asynchronous days, will be assigned from there. A lot of you posted in chat on how was the first day of school. That's great. Also gives me another way to double check your attendance that you were here in these Zoom meetings in case I missed you. So do follow through with that. Okay, so I have next slide. If ever you do need help, there are more resources available for you. So there's office hours, so Mr. Simon is available. I should really put that as Mr. Simon. So he can tutor you. He is more of a morning person. Oopsies, not me twice. Mr. Simon, right? So he's available these blocks. Then I'm available these other blocks, and also evenings from 8 to 9 p.m. You send me an email between 8 through 9, you should get a response within a couple minutes. I don't know how CSF is going to work. There are people that can help you. I have a past student of mine that's offered to be a tutor. He even offered to teach some classes at one point or another, so there's lots of help available. And various clubs for you to think about joining. Girls Who Code, I think the Dev Club will be starting up again, although I'm a little unsure. And the Electrical Engineering Computer Science Club. The first club, Girls Who Code, and Electrical Engineering and Computer Science, those are two clubs I sponsor, so I know they're going to get off the ground soon. I'll post something about EECS, Electrical Engineering Computer Science, onto Google Classroom or on a slide. But they've been working over the summer planning neat things to do. Okay. So continuing the logistics of the class, for asynchronous days, be sure you are filling out your reflections. I think this is your class, yeah. This is your class. So when we're not in front of each other, be sure you fill it out. Like these two students here, you filled out for Monday, and that's great. But I need a little something more from you on Tuesdays, because I'm not physically there or virtually there with you. I don't know whether or not you're present. So your reflections serve as an attendance tool, all right? So be sure you fill those out. So anyone that got a comment, I didn't see any work by like 3 p.m. Yesterday, then you were marked absent in Synergy, and you might have gotten a robot phone call home or whatever the consequence is. And if 3 of these things happen in a row, we've been told by the school that we have to report. We've got to put you on a special list, and then there will be even more follow-up after that. So just be aware. That was like principal level decision that's happening on how attendance is going to work during distance learning. The other thing is with Runestone or CS Awesome, as you work on your first assignment, right? There's like the score me or check me the part of it, and you may be disappointed with your scores at first. Being Lowell students, a lot of us want that high grade, and you may be upset when you don't have like 50% of the points. So let me give you some tips on how Runestone works and how you can get all those points. When you go to Runestone, there's the reading section of the assignments over here. So that's just clicking through the textbooks and making sure you do interactions, right? So that may be watching a video, clicking on a link, trying the multiple choice, so on and so forth. And then when you scroll to the bottom, once you've interacted with that page, it should be, the little bar should complete. And sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it bugs out. In that case, I'll go back in and then double check your work, and then I'll manually give you the point. But try to save me some time by getting that like auto-graded reading credit. The second part is what is required of you, and that's these questions, okay, from the assignment. There are way more questions in the unit than compared to the ones I assigned. So be sure when you go to the what's it called, CS Awesome, that you go to this assignment category right here, and then click on this. Because I think right now some of you may be doing all the exercises in Unit 1. That's not what I'm requiring of you. It's a subset of that. Okay, and then you answer all these questions. There are some free responses, so be sure you type something in for that. And I think all but 3 of these questions are auto-graded, so you should see like a score you're happy with. If not, then you got to go back and double check your work. Make sure you click everything. And those 3 or 4 questions, I have to go back in and manually grade, and you should get a pretty satisfactory score. Okay, so those are some tips around CS Awesome. This will be due. I put the date on Saturday. I meant to put it like 11:59 p.m. on Friday, but whichever one works for you. Okay, there's not weekend homework. It's meant to be asynchronous classwork. CS Awesome. Questions from the class? Okay, so let me close this. I may need that for later. So this is going to be launching 4.4s, going over some Java basics on the website. I'm at this link over here, the 4.4s challenge. When you click on this tab, you'll be brought to this page. And the goal of today's lecture is working through, from top to bottom, the ideas mentioned here. And then at the very end, with whatever class time is remaining, you are to work on your 4.4s. Some of you have already done it. That's great. You can try some more numbers, but do stay on the Zoom call. You can turn my volume down a bit. I still need to do attendance after I'm done with this demo lecture. Okay. So here's a quick question on those that already did it. When you click here and you click link, you should be able to get a unique trinket.io link, and that's what you submit to Google Classroom. Okay, my mouse isn't showing up in my recording, but I've highlighted it. There's already been one student that has emailed me that says the link doesn't appear for him. So in that case, if your code is short enough, or you can zoom out, take a screenshot and post that, or like copy and paste your code and like email it to me or something like that to show me that you've done it. So those are some workarounds. I hope that everyone's able to find like this link. I'm not sure why it doesn't appear on some computers, but it is a known issue. You're submitting everything in Google Classroom. Because of how it works with Synergy, it just makes it a lot easier for me as your teacher. Okay, no other questions. So let's begin. You can read through all of this word for word. I'll just give you my interpretation of it, a summary of what's written here. So in your first program, what you need to know is the typical layout of your coding editor. On the left-hand side is where you write your code, and then on the right-hand side is called the console, or that's where the computer talks to you. It produces the output. You can think of the left-hand side as the input, and whatever pictures or text gets spat out on the right side. Click the play button that runs the code, and you'll see some text appear. You dive in to line 4 over here. Line number is denoted on the left-hand side of the screen, really handy, so I don't have to read out every single line of code word for word. Line 4, this thing printed or showed some text to the screen, hello, comma, world. This part over here is the name of a function, so functions do things. So system.out.println is Java's fancy way to say print some text to the screen. For the time being, these things, it's specific to Java and required. These are your like program headers or function definitions. This is your main. All your code that you need to know for now has to be within these little squiggly braces. Formally, they should be called squiggly braces, or braces in general, but often you hear me call them squiggly brackets. That's just a weird Mr. Chan thing. In industry and in all other conventions, they're called braces. So all your code lives in here. Blah, 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 blah. Delete that. All right. So as we work down, it's important here to know that, I'll demo it in the second example, right? These double quotes, right, that denotes a string. Think about that as a sentence in English. Okay, it isn't interpreted by the computer, it doesn't morph forms at all, it just is like text to the screen, double quotes. That's really important. From those coming from JavaScript and Python, you may be tempted to use single quotes. I don't think that works in Java. If you did something like this, instead of holding like shift double quote or shift single quote, let's see. Yeah, it complains. Unclosed character literal. Can we escape it? Like this? Maybe like that. There is a way to get it working, but I think just one by itself won't have it work. And my Java knowledge is fuzzy around that. Okay. You also notice, like, as I'm typing, I only press the key once for, like, some characters, and sometimes it auto-completes. That's a special feature of, like, some coding editors. It tries to predict and be helpful, but sometimes just it's annoying. Like here, when I press, like, an opening bracket, it automatically gives me a closing bracket. Okay. So make sure to have these double quotes anytime you want to print words, which is going to be important for your 4-4's assignment. So as we run this line of code, right, we see top on one line and we see bottom on the other. Once you delete this one, this is another version of print. Looks like this. Right, you saw the change. Regular print is different than print line. It's like when you're typing out text in your Google Doc or something, and you press enter versus not pressing enter. That's the difference between print and print line. LN stands for line. There is a way for you to make print behave like print line, and that's at the very end of your text. You add this character, /n. That's the computer's representation of like the pressing return. So formatting, little things that may matter to you on how your code looks or how your output looks for the 4-4's. But for the purposes of this assignment, you can just go print line, print line, print line, print line. That's absolutely fine. But we're noticing some differences like 2 letters make in lines of code as we're typing it out for those that came from like block-based languages. So we go down to the next idea for comments. These things are ignored by the computer. You're thinking, okay, why is this useful if the computer ignores it? Well, comments are really good notes to you as the programmer. Right, the computer doesn't read it. Could be for your teacher, right? Because I'm a reader of your code. And later, when you go on to industry, it could be useful for your team. Right, you work with like people from around the world, a couple hundred people on the same code base. They got to know what's going on. Documentation, kind of like showing your work in math. So notice all those lines I just typed out, nothing's put onto the screen. But that may look a little weird, like you're unsure, nothing's on the screen. Hey, is my program working? Well, then you can always check. Write down something like this. Working, right? I call these sanity checks just to make sure something's on the screen. And you notice very classic error, right? Because I came from languages, JavaScript and Python, that don't require the semicolon at the end, you're going to see me miss it again and again and again and again. Lines of code in Java always need a semicolon at the end of it. Let's say you wanted to comment out more things, right? And not press these forward slashes a bunch of times. Here's another shortcut. Like that. And these slashes and the star ignores everything in between it. But notice that if you don't close it, you don't tell it where to end, then your program won't work. The computer's like ignoring everything from line 4 onwards and waiting for one of these characters to close it, and it doesn't get it. So then it bugs out. It's not sure what to do. So it throws an error message at you. No questions? All right. So we're going to keep marching down the page. So operators, like plus, minus, divide, multiplies, that's what you're going to get working with, just getting used to typing this out, figuring out order of expressions, getting used to doing math again. It's been a while. Okay. And you'll notice over here, lines 3 and line 5, they're going to produce something different, right? Here we have the quotes, here we don't have the quotes, and they're going to be evaluated by the computer in different ways. Notice line 3 over here, the quotes prints whatever's inside the quotes. But down here, the computer knows what to do with like the divide by sign. Since there's no single quotes there, it's going to do 4 divided by 4, which is 1. Yeah. You can add on more things here, like times 4, run. Oh, it gives you 4. Fancy calculator it is. Ta-da, I got 0. Alright, so one of the most important things, you're most likely not going to get everything right the first time. It's a feeling you're going to have to get used to. The computer, like you'll be surprised on what kind of mistakes you'll make. So let's say right here, right? We run the code, we've seen one of these red screens before, there's an error here, and you're going to try to fix it. The computer is smart enough to at least give you a hint on where it is. What's important is this number. It tells you the line number where it found its first error. So this one, it says line 4. And it says, okay, over here, system.out.print art, variable art, class syntax error. So it doesn't know what art is. So if you're looking at the sentence, you really just want it to say, my name is Art, like that. And that's how you fix it. Let's say you had multiple errors at once. Let's say on this line I forgot to add the quotes, this line I forgot the semicolon, right? Let's take a look at a little bit more complicated error message. So it stops the first one as code is run from top down. It goes one, or the computer reads like line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4, so on and so forth. It stopped here. So first you have to fix this semicolon error in line 3. Okay, click run again, and then it gives you the second error. As we work with more complicated programs, you may see like one line of code lead to another line, and we'll get there later in the year. Okay, spaces. This is so as we run this program, notice some words, they're special for Java, like public and class. Those words are reserved because they have special meanings. So then, like here, public static void, right, spaces matter. These white spaces matter. You'll see, like a lot of the time, capitalization matters, like lowercase s for system. That doesn't work either, right? The computer suddenly doesn't know that you meant, okay, I actually meant capital S here, and I wanted you to print text to the screen. And there's that \n, no, /n, no, I'm leaning back, \n. Character again. You could have accomplished this output, right, in the way from earlier, just on 2 lines of code. Here's something rather disgusting. So because, like, this is perfectly fine for, like, Java to understand. You've had your spaces, you have your semicolons, and it's all in one line. The computer gets that. It can read that. But us as humans, this thing's kind of hard to read. Yes, you have to decipher where lines of code start and end, where little chunks of code, like here, this is what like the person would have added, right? And if you wanted to add more code, system.out.println, right, as your programs get more and more complicated, semicolon, right, it gets harder to read. So for formatting, right, as you press enter like here, as you press enter here, here, and here, just like how in English we end our sentences with periods and paragraphs with indentations, that's how we want to organize our ideas when we're working with lines or blocks of code. Space it out so that you can read it better. It's a style choice, okay? I think that's all you need to know for the 4 fours. things to highlight from the first synchronous class I had. Block 6 meets before you, so if you know people in my Block 6 class, you can ask them. Try not to use decimals, factorials, square roots, exponents, okay, like the fancy math operations that you have to borrow from like a math library. Try to just stick to parentheses, plus, minus, and divide. You should be able to get 1 through 10. And 1's already been done for you here, right? Like 44 is legal. We'll count that as our operation, just to make the assignment move along. I've gone over how to turn in an assignment, and again, I'll repeat that. Click link, post this to Google Classroom. If that doesn't work, take a screenshot of your code, try to have it all fit here, have the output in your screenshot too, or copy and paste your code and I'll run it myself, whatever is. I think the screenshot's going to be easier for you. Okay, this will be due end of today. I hope a lot of you will use this class time to get started. Do ask me questions in chat or unmute yourself. Stay a little while longer. I have to do attendance. But otherwise, the time is yours. Work on 4/4s. So there are some questions. So for CS Awesome Unit 1, do we mark the assignment as done when we complete it? Yeah. So for the reading assignments in CS Awesome in Runestone, there's like a green bar at the bottom, right? So click here. There's a green bar towards the bottom. Okay, questions. So I double checked so another student asked like, okay, I keep auto grading and it gives me 35 out of 50, and I looked into it. The survey questions, when you click things, it should auto grade and give you the point based on completion. The other parts, I think there's just 3 or 4 questions I have to manually go in and grade, so that should leave you at like 92%. In the readings, I think this is where you may be missing a point, which is the second student's question. When you go like here, right? Let's say this one. I think there's a video. So this interactive textbook website, I'm not sure, but you may need to click on some of these links. I've yet to test this again on my student end. Right? Click here, take a look at this website. That may be tracked. And then this bar at the bottom for this first student's question should like increase. So there should be some activity or something you can interact with on the page. See if you can click it. This one's kind of extraneous. I couldn't just assign like subsections. I have to assign the whole section. Right? So just take a look. People uses the code. Great. Close. And see if you can get this bar to increase. And then you can mark it as complete. But sometimes I think that if like this bar doesn't go up and you click like completed, well done, I don't know if you get the point. Okay. So this student, I'll take a look at your specific situation. Send me a quick email so that I know to follow up later in the day. Thanks. So any of these programs, you don't need to install. This is just telling you like what is out there. Replit, it's all browser based. Most of those tools we're going to use work in just the browser. But let's say you did want to download something. If you go back to the apcslowell.github, it should tell you something about processing, right? So then you can look ahead onto these slides. And that's the main tool that you'll need to download, processing.org. Hope I typed that right. My Zoom window is kind of blocking it. Okay, good. Like this is the main tool you'll need to download. And if you really want to get into it, you can download like GitHub. But those steps are like not required of you for this class. Everything will work in the browser for those in using Chromebooks. Okay, another question. Where can I see these points? Mine just say not graded. I believe when you go to an assignment, there's a score me at the very bottom of an assignment, which will give you a sense of what you need to do. You didn't get points for the reading assignment. So once this page loads, there should be a score me, and it may look different because like I'm the teacher here. Right, you should be able to get a score of some sort. Okay, let's try again. All the way at the bottom. Yeah, it may look different for me, but there should be a score me or like check my points or something like that. I'm not sure where it's going to live on your end. Reading assignments. So especially for like no points on your reading assignments, student that just asked. Like it says 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Because I think for you, if you attempted it, you should see at least some of these get like 1 out of 1 point, or like 100% or something like that. Okay, it just says 0. So let's say Thursday, I'll click the auto grade once and release your grades, and then it gives you still some time for you to like go back in and see if you can fix it on your end. And then I'll do my best to see if what I can fix on my end for like all students. So send me an email. It's my first time using this website, and just to give you a sense of what it looks like, it's really clunky. The guy that made it is a like software developer, but really is like a college professor, right? He made it all by himself. So when I go to like this end, the menus are atrocious. Like you click on assignments, and then here's assignment 1, right? I can select all these questions. Here's the reading questions. And then if I did select all, it shows you everything on one page. And like imagine if like I have 60 something students, closer to 70, right? There's no easy way to navigate through each person, right? Like I select all of you for this particular question. And then this is how it grades it. Like, look, the windows like overlap, and like I can't even read who these people are, right? You can see me, there's 2 of me, right? So on and so forth, right? 60 something times. So best case, right? It works from auto graded, but then worst case, like you can imagine the pain I have to go through to like grade you on this. So I want to make it easy too. I want like it's the smallest amount of work for the highest amount of output, the better, right? So thank you for your patience along there. Okay. Again, if you get stuck on anything, do send me an email. If you feel like it's a like general question that everyone's going to have, post it on the Piazza page, either anonymously or with your name, so that everyone can see the answer. Right? Okay. Time-wise, let me double check. I got. Shoot. Oh, darn it. Okay. So where do you find email? So here's my email. It looks like I have to fix attendance another way. chanr@sfusd.edu. And real quick, let me do attendance. So I got 34 people, so there does appear to be some people missing today. So stay on. I think some people got added recently too. Ryan Chu, are you here? Johan's here. Okay, great, thanks. So just type in chat just to help me with attendance. Vincent's here, Jasmine's here. I think Justin, you here? Okay, great, thanks. Lance, are you here? No. Okay. Sim's here. Nikki, you here? Nope. Okay. Oops. Jean's here. Chenhao's here. Oh, I got 2 Justin. Okay. And Garrett. Okay. All right. So you're all good. Thanks for staying.